guys, welcome to Gen Z's Jiu-Jitsu Technique of the Week. I have lovely Diana here with me as my demo dummy. So we are working side control for the next month, primarily the next 2 weeks, really focusing on side control attacks. So I want to show one of my favorite, actually three of my favorite attacks on the far side arm. We're going to go over a little trio there, our Americana, straight arm lock, and Kimura. Okay, so if I have Diana in side control, right, she's on the bottom here, okay, I'm going to start just in a traditional side control. So I'm going to get head control. I'm going to bring my knee underneath her elbow, okay? There's a lot of ways to be in side control. I'll maybe do a little side control mobility video separate, but I want to get to the far side attacks today. But I'm starting in kind of my ideal position, head control, knee to my elbow, right? Nice control here. I'm sprawling back my far leg, or I can check the knee to the hip. And I've got an underhook. I'm chest to chest, right? Good alignment here. So what I like to do, depending if Diana's framing here, or if she's got her hand on my back, right? We have options for both, and I'll kind of show both of those in a second, but we're gonna start in the front. So you could do shoulder of justice here. You could grab underneath the armpit, pull back, bring the shoulder into the cheek, right? We could talk about what I did a few weeks ago in transitioning to mount and getting to this nice control where I have the armpit and the head control. So those are all great options. But what I'm gonna show you is gonna lead right into the Americana, okay, submission. So control's priority here. I need to stay heavy. But what I want to do is I want to switch my back hip. So we're just going to turn a little bit because I want you to see my hip switch. Okay, so I'm in my position, and now I'm going to shift my hip up. Okay, the job here is that I'm going to come up to a 45, and I'm putting pressure on her frame. Okay, as I do that, I start bringing this elbow around to her head. Okay, if I do that too early before pinning this arm, she can come in and stiff arm. She can put her top arm, other one, she's gonna put the top arm in my armpit and just stiff arm me, and she can start scooching back and escaping. Exactly, right? So I need to be conscious of that. I want the motion to be fluid, but I'm really dropping my hip up at a 45. See how I hip tilt up? I'm not just straight in line. I go up and come around, and then it's safe for the elbow, okay? So now that you've seen that, we're gonna go back to our regular view and scooch back a little bit. So we're here in the position. I've got the elbow. I'm gonna go ahead, tilt and shift. So one of the biggest things I need to do here is bring my elbow to her neck. And if she's framed in front, I'm gonna use my chest and body to shift forward. As I do that, I'm going to use the back of my bottom hand or top hand and come to the inside of her arm, okay? Kind of like I'm coming in to just control her wrist. Now I'll flip my hand over, okay, so that I'm thumbless grip on her wrist. I cinch back and I get my figure four. Okay, so now we're here with the Americana. I'm not going to try and finish it from here. I'm going to bring the elbow to her hip to cut out the slack. This can put a lot of pressure on her and cause a tap already. So I'm going to bring the elbow down. Now I'm going to rev the wrist away from me, and then I'm going to paint the mat with her hand by bringing her hand down towards her hip and lifting her elbow. There's the tap. So now if we're here, I'm trying to go for this Americana. She's of course going to try and defend. So a lot of times people are gonna straighten their arm, okay? Exactly. I need to be ready for that. As she straightens, okay, I'm gonna use my toesies in the mat. So Diana straightens, and I'm gonna shift my body so that I bring my chest over the inside of her elbow, okay? I'm heavy here. I don't wanna be light. I don't wanna over shift forward, right? If I give her too much momentum, she's gonna roll me. So I'm just coming in to capture the inside of her elbow. Now, what I need to do here, I really need to be aware of where her elbow is and how straight her arm is. I don't like to just go in a straight line for the straight arm lock. I like to be off at a 45-degree angle. So either down towards her hip or up towards her head, right, at a 45. So as we transition here, I capture, my chest is pinning her elbow. I bring my hand to my bicep so that my blade is still exposed going upwards. I need to rotate her thumb so it's pointed towards the ceiling. This is gonna give me the right angle of her elbow. And I need to create some height here. I walk my elbows in, okay? If I'm too low, there's nowhere to push but into the mat, and it's not gonna create any like leverage for the arm lock, right? So I bring my elbows in, keep my blade exposed up, keep my chest over the elbow, and then I'm just gonna press down, and there's the tap, okay? I'm using my body, I can use my head. I'm talking to you, so I'm lifting my head, but I really wanna keep my head down nice and tight and controlled. And there I can go for the finish. Now, if we're here, right, we've kind of transitioned from the Americana to the straight arm lock, I can keep my configuration with my arms the same, okay? If I started in the Kimura and then went to the straight arm lock, I can keep my arms the same. But when I transition to that third aspect, I need to switch. So if we're here and I go to the Americana, I need to just trade my arms and my figure four. Same thing as if we're in the Americana to the straight arm lock and she bends her arm down. Anytime she bends down, hand towards her hips is the Kimura option. So I'm gonna just trade. So I'm gonna lift, I lift my top arm and replace the bottom one to come in. Okay, I'm keeping a lot of pressure too on Diana. How you doing down there?
Feels great, feels good.
Good. Okay, we don't wanna release control or pressure. Remember, position before submission. So now I've traded, and something really, a keynote detail here, I need to keep my control of my arm, my bicep connects to her tricep. So it's in between the elbow and the shoulder. I'm not up here. If I'm up here trying to go for the Kimura, she's got an underhook and she can come up, right, and like tilt me over, exactly. So I need to make sure once I trade, I'm trading so I connect to her tricep. Now, I grab the wrist, I grab my wrist, and she's bending down right towards the Kimura. So I've got this 90-degree bend. This is one of my coach's specials. I love this. I learned these details from him. I feel like it helps for a successful Kimura. So I need to make sure my elbow meets her hip so that she can't connect. If she connects, we have to do different things, right, to strip the grip. But that would be a later date to just Kimura segment here. But as we're here, I bring my elbow to the hip. I want to keep this arm at a 90-degree. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the slack just like in the Americana, but going the other way. So I'm going to bring her elbow towards the top of her head. Now I'm going to army crawl out so that my chest is over her forearm. Okay, this is going to give me space to really be able to cobra stretch and sprawl back. Now I'm going to look down at first. Okay, I'm going to get ready. Laces in the mat, and I really want you to over exaggerate this so you end up in the right position. I'm going to sprawl back by cobra stretching. So my belly's out, connecting to her. I look up and I've pulled her on her side. I keep her elbow to me, and then I bring her wrist to the back of her head. Okay? So one more time, giving Diana a little relief here. If I don't army crawl out and I try and cobra stretch back, it's going to be hard to lift her here, right? And then her hand's in the mat and I'm like hauling on the elbow and there's no finish. So I cut the slack out, shoulder walk out, get ready, laces in the mat. Toesies is going to stop my stretch and sprawl. I'm going to sprawl back, lifting her up, keeping her elbow to me, wrist to the back of the head. So there we have our trio of far side attacks and side control. How'd that pressure feel, Diana?
High.
Great, good. So I hope this is helpful. You guys can transition. Americana to straight arm lock, Kimura, straight arm lock, Americana, right? Any which way you can mix and match, but just remember you're gonna have to trade the grips on the last option out of the 3, right? So 2 out of 3, you can stay the same. Thank you, Diana. You're still laying in side control position.
Recovery.
If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.